top 5 reasons history was beyond gross. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Massive Phenomenon. 5. The Thames once backed up with human waste. Some people complain about the pollution in modern rivers today and how they are not what they used to be. One of the many examples is the Thames. It isn't exactly awful, but it certainly wouldn't be a great place for a casual swim. However, we don't single out the Thames in terms of today, as there are far worse examples, but we compare it to what it once was when it reached its true nadir. It was the summer of 1859, and the great city of London was in the worst crisis it had been in a very long time. You see, it wasn't necessarily that there was no plumbing at all, as they were already doing some of that, but it was more that most of the dumping from the plumbing system just went straight into the river. On top of that, anyone who didn't have access to modern plumbing would usually throw poo into the nearest body of water. 4. The roads used to be covered in horse poop. Today, people complain about potholes, but back in the day, people had much grosser problems to deal with when traversing city streets. If you have ever wondered why so many people in the past wore boots, it is because of all the horse manure on the roads. If you have ever spent any time around horses, you know that just mucking out a stall from one day of horse pooping can actually be a nasty job. Now, with no cars around and so many people using horses as the main form of transportation, you can probably imagine that there was a lot of horse manure around. This doesn't mean that cities did not make attempts, but you can only do so much to hold back the tide, and in London and many big cities in 1894, they found themselves in a crisis. Streets in London and other large cities were filling up with poop, and efforts to keep them clean simply were not enough. 3. Deodorant and mouthwash are very modern inventions. Today, if someone goes without their morning shower and deodorant, they feel gross and are worried about what others will think of them. They use mouthwash, especially after eating something like garlic, and many do it habitually in the morning. We take these things for granted as a normal part of our ablutions. To most people, this behavior is as natural as breathing, but it wasn't that long ago that people didn't care about any of this at all. Deodorant was not invented until 1888, and like all new things, it didn't become a thing everyone did overnight. Back then, people didn't really care much about that sort of thing and had to be told in advertisements that they were disgusting in order to get them to use deodorant. Mouthwash is a recent innovation that was only invented in 1878. Like deodorant, people had to be told they needed it and had something called halitosis or bad breath. 2. Ancient Roman toilets, rats, methane flames, and poop sponge sticks. Ancient Rome gets a lot of credit for their amazing public plumbing system, but it wasn't nearly as good as it might sound in the history books. Now, we want to be clear, to their credit, the ancient Romans did have a much better system than the rest of the world at the time. However, that doesn't mean we would have found it to be anything less than a horror show. As the old pipes they used were quite wide, and with how the system was designed, rats got in and out really easily and could come up on you while you were doing your business. This meant it was not uncommon to get bitten by a rat while using the toilet. Worse yet, you could walk up to a public toilet and find it belching open flames from all the methane buildup in the pipes. 1. The Black Plague happened because people were disgusting. Many things are blamed for the Black Plague, and among them is that many cats were killed, which led to the increase of rats. However, while there may be some truth to this, it is unlikely cats would have been enough to save them from the amount of rats and filth that they lived in. In the days of the Black Plague, most people just piled up their garbage outside their front door and maybe eventually cleared it all out when it started to smell too much. Some cities tried to force people to keep their part of the street clean, but this wasn't always enforced, and people would often fix the problem by just dumping it all into the nearest body of water. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen, because I'm sure you'll love them.